Coming up on Guys Talking Sports, we talk about the NBA. We also talk a little NFL. We talk about everything that's going on in the world of sports. My guest hosts, Adrian Catwell and Earl Ross, join me right now, and that's on Guys Talking Sports. Everybody, this is Guys Talking Sports. I'm your host, Al Qualls, and welcome to another edition of Guys Talking Sports. Got good guest host here. We're just going to get started. Got my boy Adrian Catwell, got my boy James Earl Ross. Hi, fellas. What's going on, man? How you guys doing?
Can't call it.
It's a vino time, even though you can't see it.
It's all good. It's all good. We're just gonna get right into it. Don't have not much to talk about, but we were just talking before we got on air about the situation with the Golden State Warriors, and I wanted to start the broadcast because I know my man Adrian has something he wanted to talk about in regards to the Warriors. So I'm just gonna just let him talk, and I'm just gonna fade out for a second.
Oh man, I'm just tired of everybody Golden State. Golden State that. Don't get me wrong. They are a very good team. I mean, they're great, awesome. But gosh, man, it's almost as bad as the Bulls in the '90s. I'm like, just so. That's all you hear. Step this, step that, step this, step that. God, okay, yes, he hits a 40-foot three. Okay, yes, he does it all the time. Jeez, we have to make a big spectacle about it every freaking time he does something like that. We understand he has excellent range. All right, let's move on. It don't mean nothing in the first 82 games of the season. Let me see what you do the last 16 or 18 games of the postseason. If they can make that run and go back to back. If they go back to back, all hell, Steph Curry and Golden State. You know, but the media need to get off their knees, stop getting the pillows up off the floor, and stop cupping their testes. And this, man, this God is just so annoying. Yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Oh, hold up. I gotta ask this question. Okay, so let me ask you a question. You feeling like this about the Warriors now? Okay, was you feeling like this about the Miami Heat when LeBron went to Miami?
I was tired of them too.
Okay, I just want to make sure that he was.
I mean, we could take it back to the '90s too. I was tired of the Bulls too. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Jordan was Jordan, but I mean, it was just it's like I mean, I know it's a fade. It's going to be a nice. Probably with Steph being he's so young, if they can keep that core there, it's probably going to be another 3 to 5 years to keep hearing them talk about this team, which is fine. Okay, I get it. But jeez, if one person leaves, that team is done. You know what? Splash Brothers can stay. If Draymond leaves, the team is done.
Well, do you know that there is talk about them actually trying to? There's talk. I'm not saying it's true or anything, but they're looking to go after Kevin Durant this season.
Good for them. I think it won't happen. If they got the money to do it, fine. But there's not enough rock, ain't enough ego, ain't enough of nothing up in that locker room for that to happen. But that's just my 2 cents again.
Yeah, I think I'm on the other side of the argument. I actually do like the Golden State Warriors per se. I think that I don't know. I think it's a different kind of basketball. Yes, everyone is kind of, I think everyone kind of slept on the Golden State Warriors until they got to the playoffs. Really, once they got to the finals, I think everybody started taking a look at, Steph Curry. I mean, not that he wasn't doing the same stuff he was doing back in Davidson, but I think the way he's doing now, the team that he's on has really, been very exciting. I mean, he's brought the long ball back. I mean, I think for everyone is, so much hate that was passed on to the Heat with the big three coming around. I think now you have a team that's sort of like the anti-Heat of that time, and they're playing really fun, really exciting basketball. And Steph Curry is not. I mean, he hasn't done anything to make anybody necessarily hate him. I mean, for his size and his stature, I mean, he's lighting the league up. I mean, I've seen shooters before in the past do the same thing, but I just think it's just that everybody was so fixated on LeBron James always, putting his head down and going to the hole and Kobe Bryant doing the same thing. Someone that's just basically doing it without really dunking all the time. Someone that's like really hitting it behind the three, and if and going up to the lane with a finger roll. Then you have Splash Brothers. I think that kind of basketball has kind of been something that the NBA kind of needed to kind of get their image away from what LeBron has been, basically monopolizing the entire NBA. They needed somebody to kind of be the anti-LeBron to kind of put more focus on the NBA as a whole, not just the Heat with LeBron and Wade and Bosh. They needed somebody else to step up, and over the years, it hasn't been Durant or Kobe's been hurt the last several years, but I think that Steph Curry is the nice, likable kid against to LeBron, who for the last couple of years have always been the villain. Now he's trying to clean it up a little bit, but right now, Steph Curry is the guy that the NBA is really putting all their marketing behind right now, and I like it.
Now, I do have to admit that it's a breath of fresh air from keep hearing about LeBron all the time. I do believe it's a breath of fresh air. It definitely was needed. I just like Ace said, though, I just don't want it to get to a point where we still hear it talking about Steph Curry. I don't want Steph Curry's name to be mentioned in that same category as how LeBron was with the Cavaliers, and of course with the Cavaliers now, and of course with Miami Heat. That's one of the reasons why I always root for the underdogs, because I just I don't like to be amongst the popular vote, and always about talking about the same teams over and over again. That's why I like to talk about the teams that are not being talked about. For example, San Antonio. They're still being slept on, even with the record that they have. I can understand the Warriors are actually getting to that point where they're going to get over. It's going to be a little bit all talk about Warriors, and they're in that danger level of getting to that point where the way the Miami Heat was. So. With the NBA, it's like I said, it's a breath of fresh air, but it's a warning not to get it to the point where we're seeing them over and over again to a point where it's tiring. I know Ace already reached that point,
But look, all right. Take for example, look at Dame Lillard. Now, mind you, he ain't put up the type of numbers he put up the first 2 or 3 years in the league, but the boy is a beast up in Portland. You know what I mean? It's unfortunate that Aldridge left Portland and went to San Antonio. I mean, he didn't chase money per se; he just chased rings. But Dame over the past 5 games is averaging 30-something points a game, carrying Portland on his back right now. And they're a team to watch out in the West. I mean, there's other guys out there that is just as much a superstar. I mean, I get that Steph has that quick release. I get that Steph can hit a three from probably the upper tier of the Warriors Coliseum. He could probably do a blindfolded while he sucking on the candy cane. Who knows? I'm just saying. I mean, but that's the type of media attention that Steph Curry is getting. Just like on Bleacher Report. Just because he hit a 40-foot three at the end of the first quarter, it became a big thing on Bleacher Report that says Steph does what Steph does, shoots a 40-foot three-pointer at the end of the first quarter. Okay, guys, all right, so what? He does that. Yes, we know. But do you have to keep feeding that type of crap down my throat every time that Golden State plays?
No. I get what you're saying, but I'm sorry, but it's just not as much this was never as bad as what the whole LeBron era. I'm sorry. You cannot tell me, because SportsCenter, ESPN was feeding LeBron all down the throats, whether it was social media, and sometimes they still do it. When you go on social media, you go to ESPN, they'll throw a video package. Is always something that LeBron did, something that the Cleveland Cavaliers did. If LeBron says something in the quote, that's the first thing that they're going with. Now you see that it's splitting off between him and Steph Curry. So now, with Bleacher before, like you said, they showing videos of Steph Curry now, where before it was always about LeBron.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, it's just so just so annoying. I mean, I understand that there's the haves and the have-not in the NBA. I mean, there's the upper echelon of teams, there's the teams that's in the gutter, and then of course there's that middle section of teams that's this muddying up the eventual playoff situation. You know what I mean?
Well, look at it this way. I mean, if you look at it from NBA standpoint, I mean, you got Kobe on his farewell tour, which I hate seeing him hobble on a bad team like that, but you got Kobe going out. Durant and Westbrook are fighting, so you're not there. There's not really there's two stars, but you're not sure who's the breakout star in any given time. LeBron was in Miami, went to Cleveland, and he brought in parts that I don't think mesh all that well, and so they were looking for the next thing to kind of come around, and you got Golden State. I mean, they're talking about them right now, but if you think over the last 2 years, they didn't really start talking about Golden State to the finals. I mean, to the playoffs, and really didn't start talking about them until the finals. So they beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, a lot of people gave them a mulligan because they thought that, well, Love was hurt, Kyrie got hurt the first game, so a lot of people are not giving them their just due. And I think Golden State is just taking out everybody's ass this season because they're thinking like, you didn't give us our just due. Look at this, and they're killing everybody with a big chip on their shoulders. So I think the NBA is pushing him because they pushed LeBron James for so many years. Now I think, like Al said, it's a breath of fresh air for us, and it's definitely a breath of fresh air for the league. Now they have another superstar as opposed to always being LeBron heavy. I mean, there was Durant, Westbrook, but it was always LeBron, and then anybody was like, second or third tier. Now you basically got Steph Curry, and then LeBron, depending on how you look at it, is second tier at this particular point. Now they're just hoping that they'll have a rematch in the finals with everybody playing. But the truth be told, if it's going to be crazy heavy Golden State, and I think they're probably prisoner of the moment for a lot of people on ESPN and other stuff, if Golden State goes back and beat Cleveland with all their players intact, then all bets is off. Then it's going to be Golden State out the wazoo for the next year or two.
Do we have
So
reason to believe that?
I don't think we have seen it as bad as it's going to get if they go to the finals and go back to back. Oh, by the way, beat LeBron doing it, and beat San Antonio, and then beat LeBron doing it. If that happens, it's over.
And I think that's what Golden State really wants. They don't want, to be honest. I mean, the record, the season record is all nice and everything, but that's not what Golden State wants. Their chip on the shoulder is the fact that people are claiming that it was a fluke. And I would not be surprised if they're itching to play Cleveland again. They want Cleveland in the rematch in the finals because they want them at full strength. They want to assure people that they could beat Cleveland with both Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving there. They want. I think I think that's when everything will fall into place with them because right now I believe they're still playing with a big chip on their shoulder. Like. That the record to them though, I don't even think the record to them is nothing. I think whoever they play they want Cleveland in the finals. That's just they want Cleveland in the finals, and they want them to be 100%. Because if Cleveland's not 100%, they're going to have to relive that whole thing over again of how much of a fluke it was for them to win the finals when Cleveland wasn't fully healthy. And that's if Cleveland makes it. Because I still think they may have a difficult time, making it there. So
who in the East can possibly?
No, now don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're going to lose. I'm just saying I think it's going to be difficult than what people are saying that they're thinking like Cleveland's going to walk straight through the Eastern Conference Final. I don't see that. I think it's going to be some games where. There's going to be a series, 1 or 2, where you're going to see it may be tied, and then people are going to start to doubt that can Cleveland actually overcome this. To be honest, I still believe Toronto gives them Toronto. I think is really between Toronto and Toronto, Boston, and Detroit. I would not sleep on those teams at all.
I'll say Toronto. If it was the old way, I think Toronto would have a really good chance if it was like a 5-game series back in the day.
Yes.
But in a 7-game series, I don't see it, but I feel you. It's a team's going to give them some run, so it's not signed sealed, but they're going to have a little comp.
Yeah, and with the plethora of injuries that happen, you know what I'm saying? Who's to say that something was to happen? Like Cleveland is probably another injury away from losing making it to the conference finals. You see what happened with Kevin Love during the Boston series. So, you know, that's why I'm not giving it. You know, I'm not giving them the full. Oh, they're going to sweep every team. They're going to breeze through or lose one game out of the whole Eastern Conference. I'm not giving them that. I really see some teams really buckling down and giving them a series, especially the teams I mentioned.
I'm not going to say if I'm curious to see Tyronn lose and his new philosophy and how they're running, how Cleveland is running. Because when they played Oklahoma City Sunday night, man, Cleveland was running and gunning. Now, mind you, Oklahoma City ain't Golden State.
To be honest,
the imagination.
To be honest, Ace, I don't blame I don't credit Cleveland at all. I discredit Oklahoma City on more so than that. But I'll let you continue. I'm sorry.
Oh no! Please, expunge.
No. I mean, that game, to be honest, showed me, if anything, that the Oklahoma City's defense is the worst. Like, it is so overrated. And ever since they fired Scott Brooks, as much as the new head coach, to be honest, I don't see them going in a positive direction. If anything, I see them going as a negative. Like, his focus is solely on offense, but yet they're slacking big time on defense. Their defense wasn't what it was last year. And I do not understand, and I only say this because I saw the game. I do not understand why he continues to keep putting Dion Waiters into the game when he has so many different offensive players. That whole game, to me, showed me one thing, and that's Dion Waiters shouldn't be getting the minutes that he deserves. Like, I'm so fan of, like, why is this? It'd be one thing if he was, you know, if he was doing something on both ends, or he was a defensive-minded player or something, but he just feels, it's like he's just scared to even do something at this point. And you don't need that. And you can see the frustration with Westbrook and Durant. Like, when they give him the ball, it's like, yo, do something. Like, I kind of feel bad for them because it seems as though that they have to do so much, and yet they don't have a third scorer to help them. Like, and that's one of the reasons why I can't even put OKC in that mix as a top team, because their defense is so. It's like average. It's like they're not taking the steps to say, okay, we need to play like an elite team. It's just like it's whatever. Like,
yeah, I agree. It's all offense and no defense. And a quick update, that Heat Warriors game, 96-94, the Heat with 5 minutes left in the game.
Is Wade playing?
I believe he is.
What score? I'm sorry, I missed that.
96-94 or 97-94. The Miami Heat.
How much time?
It's like a little under 5. That's like a little under 5 minutes.
Too much time.
Yeah, still way too much time. But I give the Heat credit. They're playing ball without Chris Bosh, and That's something that they it seems as though that they're playing with more passion and more intensity now,
Yeah.
um, which is good for them, which is real good because if they lose Chris Bosh for the season, that's going to be a huge loss for them.
Yeah, and Chris Bosh's medical situation. I mean,
Right.
it's even you know conceivable that he might need to sit down. Maybe that's it. Call it a wrap. His career might be over. I mean, that the blood clots and stuff around the heart is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I mean, he that's something that he needs to. I hope hopefully he gets the recommendations that I know he's looking for recommendations and everything, but in all honesty, yeah, health is definitely more important than your career at this point. I know it is what you do to make a living and everything, but you have to be there for your family and stuff. So you know, I think with whatever the doctors tell him to recommend, I think that's something that he should do. Um, you know, if it means calling the season, by all means, you know.
Call the season. I mean, at this point, if he's only good for half a season, maybe use him like they use my people's over in San Antonio. Just kind of play him and sit him, make sure that he's all right, and don't have him go through the whole shabugle with trying to play every game and trying to be that dude. Obviously, they can get another piece in the draft. Hopefully, of course, it's not a Chris Bosh, but you know, I'm
No,
sure he
but
still wants to play.
the thing about it is that they do have a bench that is very serviceable. And if Bosch is not there, they have a replacement in Josh McRoberts who pretty much can. He may be a watered down version of Chris Bosch, but he can pretty much do the same thing. So I would not be surprised if Josh McRoberts right now has more than 10 points between him and Lou Dang. But I'm not watching the game, so I can't really.
Oh, I forgot Luol Deng was with the Heat.
Yeah.
If I may be remiss, if I could switch the topic here, fellas, I'm curious about your opinion, especially Ace, since he lives down in the Maryland area, which I do adore and love, and need to get down there to check out my boy. Um, but I'm questioning, being how the Redskins president basically said that RG3 will not be in the Redskins uniform next year. This season coming up. Not like none of us knew that was coming. Where do you guys think he is going to land?
Ah, um, the growing speculation I've heard is Denver, L.A., and St. Louis, actually. Um, but I mean, that's the speculation. Nobody really knows, and I think the Redskins is not trying to tip any hands because they're figuring that they might be able to get a draft pick if they are able to, kind of move him along or trade him. But I don't think anybody's going to trade for him because they know that he has to be released. So I keep hearing that Dallas says that they don't think that RG3 would be a good fit for what they're looking for. So maybe not in Dallas, but then again, I mean, we all know Jerry Jones and his talking out one side of his mouth and doing something other. Like I forget where I heard it that they said that Manziel is a better fit in Dallas than RG3. But what makes Manziel so much more different than RG3 in the style of play? RG3 ain't bringing the off field troubles, but if you're just talking about in between the lines, if anything, RG3 is a much better player than Johnny Football, in my opinion. But man, who knows? I just know that this fan base in this region is very very fickle, I should say. 2012, when RG3 led them to that 10-6 record, and he was the man, and blah blah blah, and they're seeing glory days ahead, blah blah blah. Then of course, he gets hurt in the postseason that year. He's not the same quarterback. He doesn't want to run the same offense. Then of course now Cousins is in this year. A pretty good magical run. and and next thing you know, Cousins, oh, he's the man. Oh, he's gonna come down here and he's gonna do X, Y, Z, and he's the next great blah 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 blah. But I'm like, dude, when RG3 did it, at least the NFC East was somewhat competitive. Kirk Cousins came in this year, and the NFC East was the NFC least, and I mean that wholeheartedly. NFC East, they were all garbage. The entire conference. So, I mean, the last 5 or 6 games that the Redskins played, I mean, they didn't really play anybody. So they were destined to win those games. So, I mean, it's just crazy to me. I don't get it. But, hey, I think fans are torn. Some fans adore and strictly love RG3, whereas other teams, other fans strictly adore and think Kirk Cousins is going to be that dude. So, it is what it is. I mean, we'll know for sure next season if Cousins is the real deal, or it was just a facade, just like how RG3 was. Of course, the injury made things a little different for him, but Cousins is healthy, so we'll see. That's just my take for a team I don't like.
Do you want me to? I'm just gonna think outside the box. So, all right. If he wants to, if RG3 wants to, like you said, those teams that you mentioned, I could see that happening. One team I think that he probably would have a good opportunity of at least trying out or at least starting for would be the funniest team that's out there right now. I believe would be Cleveland. I'm just thinking out the box. But I would say this: I would not be surprised if he wanted to be a backup role. Would not be surprised if he. To be honest, I don't see why not he couldn't look at Carolina as a backup role for Cam Newton.
He would not get it. He would not see that field in Carolina.
Right?
He won't see that field in Carolina. Only time he'll see the field is when Carolina's blowing out somebody.
No. What I'm saying is that if he wanted to play, if he wanted to start, and if he's looking for a starting position, then I would suggest some place like those teams that you mentioned are Cleveland. But if I'm RG3 and I'm at a point where if I want to go on a winning team, and if I don't mind being a backup, I wouldn't mind looking at Carolina as a backup role.
Well, I guess that's where it comes down to ego.
Yes. Yes.
RG3, he has an ego. He has a perception. I'm a winning quarterback in this league. I took a team to the playoffs. I've done this, but it will. I think he needs to understand that he needs to go back and look at his film when he was at Baylor. Understand the offensive philosophy that he did there. I'm not saying that an NFL team needs to run the offense that Baylor runs, by no stretch of the imagination. But he needs to understand that, and a coaching staff needs to understand that if he wants to be successful, they need to sprinkle some of that offensive flavor into his current whatever offensive philosophy, whatever team they're going to be running, he'll be going to. Because the college football, at least the upper echelons of college football, a lot of the teams are starting to run these spread offenses where these quarterbacks are not doing the 3, 5, and 7, 7 drop step, read a defense and throw the ball. You're talking about these jokers are in shotgun, the pistol position, the shotgun pistol, and they're doing one read, throwing the balls, and they're trying to take these quarterbacks and change them into West Coast type quarterbacks, and it's taking them a long time. And then, of course, a lot of these teams, when they take these quarterbacks, are taking these quarterbacks and expecting them to start from day one, and then when they're not producing, then it's like they're a bust. And I mean,
True.
something's got to give because obviously this style of offense is in Pee Wee, high school, junior college, and college. The only place where it hasn't adopted yet is the NFL. And it's interesting when you listen to ESPN 980. I'm not sure about the other sports radio stations in this area, in Baltimore and in DC. Then they talk about the read option is dead. The read option ain't dead. It's just you're seeing different variations of it, and it's being utilized more than what you think. It's just not they're not utilizing it in the sense where the quarterback is running, but they're using it in the sense where they're still giving that show of that look at that read option, possibly taking the ball out of the stomach of the running back and the quarterback running the ball, or doing it as play action to then disguise different things and doing different type of passes. So if a team can sit there and get to that look, not so much where the quarterback is running, but infuse that type of style of offense into their repertoire, and RG3 buys into it, I think he can start for whatever team he goes into. But I'm hearing also that teams are looking for him to adapt to being more of a drop back type of a quarterback. He ain't never going to be that type of a quarterback, man. Me personally, I just don't see it because, I mean, you have to be able to read defenses. And I'm not saying he can't read a defense, but the upper echelon, there's only so many top career quarterbacks to sit there and pick a defense apart. And you could probably sit there and name them on one hand.
No, that's true.
Yeah,
but I'm saying, I'm sorry. What I'm saying is that if that is the case, you don't want to get yourself thrown out there automatically when you know you're not prepared to handle those type of defenses, especially on first string when you're trying to start in the league. He hasn't started since roughly it's been about a year now. So he has to get reacclimated to the whole offensive schemes that's out there. And why not learn from from a team that has they have a quarterback that's sort of similar to fit your style that you need to be more accurate in your passing, or be more of an elite quarterback. Why not follow behind Cam Newton, and why not go through the same practices he goes to redevelop your niche? You know what I'm saying? I mean, both of them like he learned, like Cam had to learn how to throw from the pocket. So why not bring that? Why not adapt that type of style the best way by following somebody that has done it and has had success with it?
Yeah, but you also have to think that Cam is still a little bit more bigger and more durable than RG3 is, so he can absorb some hits. It's a tight end basically at a QB. So I mean, granted, I think Cam has learned, but I think Cam is on a team where the owner and the GM and the coach are invested in making sure that Cam is going to maturate into the quarterback that he is, because he was not doing it in the beginning, but they allowed him to get into it and he was able to stay healthy, as opposed to RG3 that had Mike Shanahan, and then the next coach basically didn't want him. So,
but think about it. But in the same sense, Cam has gotten better as a pocket quarterback. He has. But what is Cam? Cam is a read option quarterback.
At the end of the day, yeah.
Who has adopted the drop back quarterback into his repertoire. But he can still burn you before 50 to 100 yards a game with a touchdown. Because, I mean, I would say they're probably 60-40 read option versus drop back. RG3, when he was successful, and if you want to take it even further, Alfred Morris, the running back, they're talking about he's leaving too because he was successful in that offense as well. It was the zone blocking screen. This is the zone blocking. Zone blocking scheme, I believe, that Mike Shanahan had, where the linemen were kind of scheming to the right or kind of running to the right or running to the left, depending on the play. And Alfred Morris would just pick a hole and run right through it. And depending on how RG3 was using the read option and blah, 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 they were successful together. And as the team focus shifted away from that style of offense, and now under Gruden, he's taken the philosophy of the Cincinnati type of offense, where it's a really pass-happy, not so much a running game, and it's, you got to be more of a patient runner in that type of offense. You can see that Alfred Morris is not even successful. So now they're talking about Alfred Morris is leaving, RG3 is leaving. So you're talking about pretty much the core offensive philosophy of that 2012 team is now going somewhere else because they don't fit that scheme or that for that mold. But getting back to sticking RG3 in Carolina, how does that really benefit him in a sense where the percentage of the type of style of quarterback play that they run is still more so read option than it would be drop back or a drop back type of a quarterback? Yes, they put that in there. Cam has the ability to do it, but it's not like he would be in a situation to say maybe Denver's offense. Though what I'm hearing about Denver likes to roll their quarterbacks out and do things like in that nature with the quarterbacks, where somebody who's kind of fleet of foot, or like RG3 in a rollout situation, could sit there, pass the rock, but if he doesn't feel comfortable, he could pull it down and then run and do what he needs to do, a la like Steve Young back in the early 90s. I think that's how Steve Young became his quote-unquote of a running quarterbacks, not so much that they would design runs. It was more so I think he was doing run-out, sprint rollouts, and bootlegs, and things broke down, and he just took off. So I can see how he would thrive in a Denver's offense because he has the mobility to hit those the edges when trying to throw the pass versus a Brock Osweiler or definitely a Peyton. You see Peyton, like, he'll just take a sack, and like he'll fall down when he thinks somebody's about to hit him, which I find is hilarious. But I mean, I guess this is all what right before as the combine even started. Well, I think it's supposed to start. But all the fun and games of the NFL and the drama and the soap opera-ish type of thing that we call football because of the 24/7, 365 thing that go on, that we can sit here and talk about football when this is strictly basketball and hockey season.
I mean, to be honest, we cover all sports. So, I mean, if it's football, if there's some sports news, if it's hockey that we want to talk about, we'll cover that as well. I mean, I'm just because it's the NBA and NHL we don't have to talk about them, especially if it's boring.
True.
So, no, but I'm glad you brought that up, Earl, about the Washington, about the Redskins and that whole thing that's going on down there, because it kind of makes me wonder about, just like with RG3, the whole same thing with Manziel, like Cleveland already put out a press release saying that they're not going to re-sign him, which I don't understand. When I guess there's a timetable of when they can release people. I just don't just release. If we already know if you're going to release them, if they, I mean, is there a certain time where they could just start releasing players, or can they release players immediately?
They've already started releasing some players.
Yeah.
So then, I go ahead.
No, so I know the Eagles released, I think, DeMarco Ryans already.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Eagles, so what the pulse is, what I'm hearing over here, because it's still NFC East country, that the Eagles are trying to get Nick Foles to come back to Philly, or that's the rumor. With that, but they're also talking about possibly re-signing Sam Bradford or restructuring his contract. I'm not sure about how that's going to hold work. I think re-sign him for a 1-year deal, but still try to bring back Nick Foles, which then opens up the speculation of RG3 going to St. Louis because you put him and Todd Gurley in the same backfield. that's pretty dangerous. But that's we're not talking St. Louis football right now.
Wait. The Eagles are trying to bring back Nick Foles.
That's what I heard.
Well, I think there's been some speculation about that, but I think because a lot of people aren't sold on Sam Bradford because he was one of the people that got brought over because of the whole Chip Kelly thing. I think they just wanted to cut ties with him and get him out of there. But then again, you leave yourself with no quarterback in a division where it's not that good. But I think it was only not that good because by default, Dallas Cowboys had so many injuries. New York Giants had their defense was decimated before the game. So I think they're looking at, do we chuck Sam Bradford where the league is basically, a toss-up, or do we keep Sam Bradford and bring somebody else on? But then again, you don't want to pay Sam Bradford that's been injury prone. So, there's been a lot of back and forth about how they're going to handle it. Do they want to franchise tag him for 1 year, but then you're forced to pay him up the next year? Or do they want to just cut ties with them, but then that contract's going to get counted against the cap for next year, and then it's a lot of things they're not sure. My guess is Sam Bradford will be the QB of the Philadelphia Eagles going forward next season.
Why not just trade him back?
I think if they trade him back, there's something about monies and how that's going to work, or they might have to give up a lot to get him back.
I mean, why don't just trade Sam Bradford for a pick, a pick or two for this season or next season's draft. I mean, if they're at a point right now where they are in they're thinking about getting rid of Sam Bradford, then by all means they may take a hit because of what they did to acquire him in the first place, but in all honesty, it's not working out. If it's not working out, they need to trade and get some value back for him, from any value at this point.
Well, I think the question is, who's willing to take him, and I think the takers are quite slim at this point for him.
Now that is true. That is true. That's one of the things that is so funny about, and I should know this, but that's one of the things that's so funny about people saying about trades and stuff like that. The question is, with all these trades, who are they going to offer in regards to the trade that you want to bring somebody aboard? And I was going back and forth with people about that, especially since I'm a Nets fan. But I was going back and forth with people about trades that they going on the trade machine and seeing what type of trades is out there. And that question always keeps popping back up. Who is it that you're trying? You'll hear people say that we need to trade for whoever was out there at the time of the trade deadline, like Al Horford or somebody like that for it on their team. And and the question I always have is who would the other team want to get back from your team?
It's typically when people make those type of trades, they're trying to salary dump. They'll take on any type of crap just to match the salary of the big names. I understand that, but I mean, it's when you trade for a superstar, unless they, if I'm trading my superstar away to your team, you best believe I would want a superstar or somebody in return, or half your roster. And of course the money's have to match and everything. But the point I'm making is that people make trades for people are offering trades for the low level, the lowest of people that are on their team that's not getting any playing time or something like that. And my thing is that why would I trade for a low end player when I could just make a trade for the people that's important on your team could be more value on our team? But I guess everybody's goal is to win. So,
yeah, that's true.
If I got good players and I'm doing halfway decent and I trade my team away, then that means I'm trying to tank, which in basketball, they do a lot of that. But
yeah.
But I mean, you can't really do that in football.
Yeah, now you know what, and that's true. You can't really do that in football, which is why I respect what they do as far as that is concerned, as far as the salary is concerned. There's some things that football does real well. That's one of them.
But I mean, think about it. Let's think about RG3 when the Redskins traded up to number 2 to get them. Think about what they had to give up. I think they had to give up 3 1s and a 2.
They gave up a lot.
Yes. So like, if football is if you want to give up a star, sure. If you want my best player, you got to give me a first round draft pick. The draft coming up draft, you probably got to give me a draft pick of the following draft. You probably got to give me one of your players. I mean, you can do it. I mean, but you're going to leverage the farm to get that one player, which may or may not do anything for you.
But I think in the case of Sam Bradford, I think there's a sucker born every minute, so I'm not going to say never ever, but I think in the case of Sam Bradford, NFL, you're going to be hard pressed for anybody to really give up anything of value for him.
Cleveland.
They might give up a 7th round draft pick, which is pretty much
Cleveland's been known to do some dumb stuff. Hey, but fellas, I have a hard cutoff right about now, so.
You know what? I'm looking at the time, so let me do this real quick. I'd like to thank everybody for checking out Guys Talking Sports. Ace, let me know where they can reach you at.
Adrian Cat1963 on Twitter. Let me know how you think of the podcast, the show. Give us some feedback. Let us know how things are going.
Earl, let them know where they can reach you at, man.
On Facebook, GEROSS, the number 7. Also the same handle on Facebook and the Gram. And I want to shout out to all my brothers in Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated. Out to all the brothers out there in the land.
And of course, you can reach me, of course, at I am Al Qualls. You can reach me on Instagram. You can reach me on Facebook, and you can definitely reach me on Twitter and Google Plus as well. I'll be on there commenting as well. But for now, I'd like to thank everybody that subscribed, all those subscribers on YouTube. Thank you very much. All those people that subscribe on the Apple Podcast, thank you very much. Look out for Guys Talking Sports because we're going to be doing a lot of new things coming up, a lot of bigger things that's coming up. So I do really appreciate everybody checking us out, and we're signing off. Until next time, y'all take care.